and welcome to Concert Pipeline. That's Jen Schipple.
And that is Steve Jones.
And today on the program, Jens, we have an amazing musician, one that has an incredible storied career with one of the biggest bands in rock, and that is Mr. Martin Barre of Jethro Tull.
That is fantastic. I understand he is the guitar pro and can't wait to listen to this fabulous interview.
Yeah, we had a great time talking. He had been on the program a couple years back, so it was really good to hear, updates. And how really COVID's been treating him. What he's doing in his spare time right now, which we'll get into a little bit. So, lots of good stuff there. But before we get to that, I feel like we need to start with your story because your story will probably trump mine.
I doubt it.
Jens, you hit a milestone age recently, so that means you get fun new adventures, right?
Exactly. And we probably talked about this on the pod, but yeah, I had my big 5-0. Crazy to think about it. But yes, had my 50th in June, and one of the birthday gifts I got was a colonoscopy. It's hard to get excited. Yeah, exactly. The gift that keeps on giving. You get that gift, you rip open the packaging, you're all excited that it's going to be something, freaking fantastic. So, an appointment for a colonoscopy. It's like, oh boy, yay! And my first thought was, well, at least I don't have to, work on that day. I'm like trying to think of the positive, right?
That's a positive thing right there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I didn't really know. I've had a colonoscopy before, so I knew the kind of routine where you've got to drink all the fluids and take the, diuretics and stuff, and just flush out your whole system so that you're all empty, by the time you get to the actual procedure. And then the anesthesia, I remember, was absolutely fantastic, right? You're completely out throughout the whole thing. And the next thing you know, you're awake and your ride's taking you home. And now that I'm older, I told myself, I'm just going to give myself some time off work, before and after the actual procedure, because I don't exactly know how my body's going to recover. And the last thing I want to do is be at work and be grumpy as hell because, I haven't eaten or haven't rehydrated myself or whatever. So get this. Yeah. So I take half a day off work on a Wednesday, right? So that's when I have to stop eating, right? So like 10 a.m. I can't eat anymore. Let me think. Is that right?
So you didn't eat for a day, like 24 hours?
It's a liquid. You can't eat solids, right? So you have to eat like a liquid thing. But no, I think that starts at, I forget. Anyway, yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, so I couldn't eat any solid food after 10 o'clock in the morning. So at 12 o'clock, I decided to stop working and just be grumpy and try to make the best of it. And you've got to drink tons and tons and tons of fluid and take this nasty shit, literally. And by the time the procedure was happening the next morning at like 9:30 in the morning, it's amazing that you can even stand up and walk around. They have zero energy. There's no energy. You're sort of half hallucinating. You can't walk straight. And I stumbled into the procedure and kind of floated on the way out because the anesthesia was so awesome. I felt good for a while and then just slept for the rest of the day.
Wow.
And then so let's see. So then that was a Thursday. So then Friday I also took off with the intention of canceling the time off and just going back to work. But I really didn't feel well the next day either. So I'm like, God, what is going on, dude? And I'm just telling you, Steve, don't get old. Stay young.
I will try not to.
Stay young. The older you get, the harder it is for your, body to deal with stuff. And but even though it was a downright nasty experience to go through, I've just got one thing to say. I've got one takeaway, one big takeaway from this. It was still better than being at work.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Dude, no joke. I took 2.5 days off. It was still better than being at work. So I just want to, yeah, I just want to put this out there. You know, it's like my job doesn't suck. It's just it's been just idiotic, you know, recently. But I just to all those people listening, if you ever have to do a colonoscopy, just know that chances are it's probably going to be better than actually going to work. So do it, schedule it, you know, take the time off, get the, you know, take some sick days. And it was awesome, you know, to sleep for like a day and a half.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember last time I slept that much, so it was cool.
Yeah, well, good times. Well,
anyway, so that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, so I had an exciting weekend, I'll tell you.
You went hunting, right?
I did, yes. Opening weekend for duck hunting, and
okay, tis the season again.
Yeah, so Friday afternoon, I get out and you know, and I was going to camp out in my car. Right, I met up with a friend. We had sandwiches and beers, and you know, and chatted until like 8 o'clock or something, and then I headed out to my car. I mean, the mosquitoes were out in full force, I'll tell you. Yeah, got to, you know, slept in my car with some of my gear that I should have taken out, but you know, I didn't want to get out and let all the mosquitoes in the car again.
Right.
So
right.
So it's pretty.
And are the mosquitoes typical? I don't remember you talking about mosquitoes before.
They are. I mean, at the, you know, dusk hours, you know, when it's dark and everything, they're pretty populous out there. So got to remember your insect repellent, which I did not, but my buddy did have some.
Did you just use the word populous? They're quite populous out there.
I may have used that word. Yeah.
That's killer. All right.
Yeah.
Continue.
And so anyway, getting to the hunt, my buddy and I get the spot that we wanted to hunt. It's a spot that we've hunted before in the past, and so we're happy with it. Set out our decoys, and you know, and then the magic hour happens, and it's a year that I've waited 9 months for, because it's really exciting. Like that, especially the beginning of season, you get in on an opening day. The birds are, you know, not expecting, you know, hunters then or anything, so they're flying around, and yeah, the first hour and a half, a bunch of birds flying around. I'll just jump to the you know, final point. I mean, it's great. I was able to bring home 2 birds.
Nice. Did you shoot them both?
I did shoot them both. Thank you for that. funny man. And I actually split on a third with my buddy, but he got to take it home. So
yeah, cool. So were you and your buddy hanging out in your cars together, or did he meet you there later, or?
Yeah, I mean, he got there before I did. So he was in line with his truck, and I parked my truck at the end of the path, because we're not going to have both of our trucks in line. So we were you know, just sitting outside in chairs, distanced, you know, and then the morning of, when we had to be in line, I mean, up and awake, and the line was going to start moving. I mean, I hopped in his truck. We had, you know, masks on and everything, but you know, and then got to the parking spot and where we needed to go. And I took off. You know, I rode my bike ahead, because it's 1.5 miles, or you know, so down a path, and so I rode the bike ahead, and he pushed the cart with all of our gear.
All the gear. Wow. So you've got one down, huh?
Yeah. And I was toying with going out the second day also, and I brought enough of my gear to be able to do that and just stay in my car again. But I'll tell you, I mean, it's exhausting. And I was tired, and I knew the next day, today, that the power was going to be shut off in my home. So again, due to high winds for the next 2.5 days. So working from hotels again. Yay.
And you've definitely done this rodeo already this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try this. It's not a lot of fun.
What were the winds a problem during the hunt?
No, the winds are good. I mean, you want some wind
Right.
when you're hunting because it gets water movement on the water, so that the decoys are moving and it looks like they're real, right? You can hook them up to a jerk cord and then like that you pull, kind of while you're, to get the decoys moving. If you don't have any winds, that's that's what you want to do. Otherwise, it looks too fake. If it's like that.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah.
So the winds were good for that.
So I don't remember you telling me that you were gonna like go out and do some practice shots and stuff like that. Did you just kind of go in here cold turkey?
Yeah. I mean, did go out and shoot clays once, I think, a couple months ago, to work up the gun again, get comfortable shooting. So I was going to go a second time, but didn't get a chance to go back out.
Gotcha. So when's the next one?
I think like 2 weeks is when I'll go out again, because next weekend have plans, my son's birthday and and it's Halloween and for whatever that is,
I totally forgot. Yeah, it's October.
It doesn't even matter, it just doesn't
I know,
matter.
right?
You're doing a joint birthday and Halloween thing, and that's
I know. I mean, it's like when I woke up after the colonoscopy was over, I said to the nurse, no, I said to the nurse, that anesthesia was awesome. Can I have some to go just a little bit, just to, get me through 2020 just for a couple months, just, if I wake up in January, that's cool. I'm good with that. But I hear you on that, I mean, this whole year has been like, fuck.
Yeah. So share when you get it. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I'll keep on working them.
All right. Well, good stuff. So we should bring in our guest Jens, not let our people wait any longer. So like I said, Martin Barre, I was really excited to get to talk to him again. He's in the UK. So we are, going global with our
nice across the pond. Yeah.
Across
cool.
the pond. Exactly. And let's bring in Mr. Martin Barre.
Hello, Steve.
Hey, Martin, how you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, it took me a while. I tried to do it in my studio, but the wireless signal wasn't good enough.
Hey, no worries. We got you here, right? So
nice. What's the guitar you got there?
Oh, honestly, I have no idea. It's my girlfriend. So
right.
I'm not sure. I'm not, I've tried playing instruments. I'm just not that guy. I love talking about it more. I'm better at that.
Yeah.
So
same as me.
Oh, are you kidding? You're an amazing guitarist, and you've been doing it your whole life. So, you have a little bit of experience behind you. I think some would object with that.
No comment. Okay.
Fair.
Right, I'm getting a lot. That's better. Like, God. Okay. Trying to look at.
Yeah. So how are you doing? How are you through all this COVID stuff? How is it affecting you?
Well, the summer was good because I've never had a summer off in over 50 years because I've always been working and touring. So the summer was really nice. Enjoyed it. The weather was good. I did a bit of music and sort of a lot of dealing with postponing tours. I've been writing music, putting a DVD together. So it's the summer's good. Now the nights are about to get longer, darker, colder, and I think it's Plan B for the winter. So I've got a few ideas. I'm taking music lessons to get my grades, but on alto flute, just to make it a bit different.
So you started with the flute, didn't you?
Yeah, I can play it, but I just want to set myself a goal, and I want to see how far I can get with the grades. I don't know if you have that in the States. You have grading system of exams.
Yeah.
So I'll have to start with grade 1 and see how far I get. But it'd just be something for my brain. I'm not great at reading music, so it'll be a challenge for that. And I got a beautiful alto flute last week that I had to sell a very expensive guitar to get, but it's stunning. And it's inspirational to play it. And you know, now Tull has sort of been and gone enough years. When I pick up the flute, it's me rather than picking up the flute and going, you know, thinking about Ian and should I really be playing flute? You know, it's not intimidating, but you question the viability of it when you've got somebody in the band that as it was, that was their main interest. So I played very little flute for a long time, and now I'm picking it up again.
Yeah, and so so you have more time to kind of slow down and focus on, you know, on these things that you've kind of, it sounds like you've wanted to do, but haven't been able to, you know, due to always being on the road. And
well, yes and no, because I still write, but normally I'm on the road, and then I might have a couple of months gap, and then I'll write. But obviously I don't have the restrictions. So I've written a lot of music. I got 2 hours of music, which at some point at the end of the year or in the new year, I'm going to start processing and, you know, picking out the best bits and developing them into pieces of music. But, you know, this new CD's out. I've still got my last solo CD, which is sort of still current musically in my mind. And then we've got the DVD that's coming out for Christmas of a show in Edwardsville that was May last year. And it's really great quality. I mean, I've spent months and months getting it perfect, which it isn't, but it's as near as it's ever going to be. So and I've got the covers just being done now. It's exciting because it's CDs and live CDs, all these things build up to something. And I just think, you know, 2020, it's a shit year. There's going to be something in 2020 which I remember as being a really great thing, and I hope that's going to be this DVD, which sort of sums up what I've been doing for a long time.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about the DVD. So I mean, the show that you chose to do it off of, like what went into that? Were you planning on releasing it as a DVD when you recorded the show?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was the 50 years of Jethro Tull tour, which we did all through 2019, and we took it to Australia and South America at the beginning of this year, and it was a big success. You know, it was that we had video on the backdrop. It was a big show with Dee Palmer and Clive Bunker, two girl singers. So unfortunately, we didn't get to bring it to the West Coast yet, and we should have been there. I think it's now. You know, my calendar's got. I always write my gigs in pencil because they can change. But of course, my calendar for this year is everything's rubbed out because I don't want to see it, but I can just see the indentation of the pencil, and I just go. It makes me really angry. So I think we would have been on the West Coast around now with the big show 50th anniversary. It was a success, and musically it was fun, and thank goodness I decided to do this video when we did, because I don't know if it'll happen again. Yeah, and I'm sure, I mean, talking about your calendar, I mean, you're rescheduling stuff to next year, and you're like, okay, will we be ready? Will you know, where will things be? But you got to hold the venues, and you know, and you want to plan. We want to get back out to concerts, right? So it's like, you know, what it will be. I mean, you were in Mexico, I think, when COVID hit and everything shut down. Is that right? Well, almost. We did South America. We played Brazil, Argentina. Then we went to Chile, and I mean, COVID was around, but it wasn't threatening enough to stop the concerts. in Chile that there were mutterings about closing down country by country. We played the last show in Chile. Who was it? Pat Metheny was supposed to play the next night in this theatre, and his got cancelled. We literally did the last show, and then we're going to fly to Peru and on to Mexico, but it got closed down just before we're going to fly out. That the country closed everything down. Luckily, because we would have been stuck there, so we never got to play Mexico or Peru, and we were going to go back. But I guess we were lucky to get out, and it was a lot of fun. But it's just sad, I'm sad because what I do for a living and my life and my hobby and my passion and my love is playing live gigs, and it's been taken away. So it's really annoying.
Yeah, it's horrible. And you were going to do that on the Blue Cruise, right? And then
Well, I'm just going to shut that back door.
Yeah, go for it.
That's right, the neighbours are doing some building work, and he just decided to drive his bulldozer past the back window. Well, the cruise is the least likely thing to happen for obvious reasons. I mean, cruises are like, nobody knows. Outdoor festivals, probably you know as much as I do, but I think next summer that there'll be some outdoor festivals because you can give space and control it better, maybe. Indoor theatres, it's 60-70% break even for a theatre to put on a show.
So you can't even do it with smaller numbers, like with 25% of the capacity or anything, and getting people to stay separated, that's not,
I mean, in theory, you do it as a charity show, and if you can afford to lose money, or you film it and stream it, then one or two of those shows are viable. But I haven't done it. That one of our guys lives in Germany, one lives in Scotland. It's hard to get everybody together for one show or even to film something. But I will do things. I'm going to do acoustic things online in this winter coming up. But gigs, I know as much as anybody, as you, the person in the street, the promoter, the artist. Nobody has any extra information or secret agenda or a fix-it for it. But it has to be it's just staying focused. And luckily, I love playing. I've got the space to play at home, and I've got my bass clarinet out again, my flute, as I told you, and guitar. I can play guitar 2 hours every day without blinking an eyelid. It's never a chore, and so I'm never bored, and I will never give up.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, you want to be able to do what you love in whatever capacity you can, even if it's just for yourself right now, and through that, I'm sure you're able to kind of write, some stuff, write some songs and kind of work on that a little bit more, for looking forward, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's always something I can do. And even it's getting I've been talking about getting a little band together locally and just playing in a cafe to 20 people. I don't care if it's down the road. It doesn't cost anything. And I just want to play. I just want to plug in an amp and turn it up and get rid of a few cobwebs.
Yeah. So let's talk about 50 years of Jethro Tull. I mean, the double album. How did you choose which songs were going to make it on the album? What was that process for you? Because when you're talking 50 years, that's such a body of work. I mean,
I think that the two criteria that one, it works live as a rock piece of music, that it can entertain an audience in a very up and positive fashion. So it had to be a good piece of music to play live, exciting. A, B, I would have to like it myself.
Yeah.
So perhaps somebody asked the same question as it's probably easier for me to say that the only bits of music that I wouldn't think about playing are the ones I don't like, because I like obviously most of it. It's just there's a lot of ingredients. I know what the audience like. I can sort of gauge it. I get so many requests. Why don't you play this? Why don't you play that? So you get lots of information, and I just weigh it all up. But the end, the last gate before I'm there is that it's got to sound great in rehearsals. And it really works live as an exciting piece of music.
Yeah, and so let's go back to your childhood and kind of music and your how it was present kind of in your childhood. So I know your grandfather was a professional violinist, right? Was that your first kind of connection to music in your family?
Not really, because I knew of him. I only met him twice, which is dreadful. But my dad, I knew that he wanted to be a musician. He wanted to be a clarinetist, and he was never able to. Just the finances of the family, he had to go and work and get a proper job. Quote. So when I was at uni learning to be an architect. And I failed a year, and I really didn't like it very much. So I had an opportunity. I was playing all the time in local bands, and I had a chance to go up to London and try and make a go of it, just for a few years maybe, or even a year, just to get away from the tedium of college, and the routine and the discipline was wearing me down. So I did it. And my dad encouraged me, and he never said why, but obviously it's because in retrospect he saw me doing what he wanted to do and was unable to do. So he was very supportive when I went professional. And then going back to when I started playing guitar, he had a big collection of jazz records. And so he gave me Barney Kessel and Jimmy Wes Montgomery, Kenny Burrell. I can think of all these names. He gave me all these albums, most of which I didn't like at all. But it sowed the seed just to hear people play. And funnily enough, the thing that really impressed me was the flute playing. I think one album had Frank Ware's, which I think he was Count Basie's flautist, and I loved the flute. So it made me go and buy a flute. This is when I'm like 15 years old. Yeah. So that was quite an important thing in retrospect. But I mean, essentially, we're not a musical family at all, but we all love music. And my dad was a great inspiration without actually doing or saying anything.
And would you say that a lot of your work ethic you get from your dad? He was a factory worker, right? So I'm sure he worked really hard to support you guys.
Yeah, well, I just the obvious things I learned from my dad was just sort of life lessons. Really, he was an amazing person. He was humble and didn't have a bad bone in his body. I only ever once saw him angry. That was my fault. He was an incredible person. And I always thought if I could be half that person, I'd be happy. And it's just nice that you look at your parents and you learn behavioural patterns, really. And I just learnt respect, and I also learnt to be realistic, humble, thankful, all these things that most rock musicians aren't. But you know, he was an inspiration as a person.
Yeah. Did your parents go to a lot of the Tull concerts? Like, how are they in terms of that support?
Oh, they loved it, and yeah, in the early days, particularly, that they'd come to concerts, but they'd always be right in the middle. You know, wherever they were in the audience, there'd be us. That they'd just be well lit by coincidence. So I'd go on stage and they were there, or they were there, and it was just a funny thing. But they were very proud, and that's a nice thing.
Yeah, and so tell me about kind of when you were joining Tull. It was around the time of their second album, right? So tell me about that experience of kind of coming into the band that had already kind of been formed at that point.
Yeah, well, I was living in London, and we'd sort of metamorphed into a blues band. I played saxophone, playing soul and R&B, and then blues. The blues train came to England with all the great musicians, the Kings, B.B. King, Albert King, Fred King, Buddy Guy. They're all on this train. And I don't know if you knew about the program, but it was on every week, and the train would stop at a station somewhere in England. They'd all get off and they'd play. It's incredible. But it brought the blues to the fore. So immediately, the knock-on effect was I could get my guitar back on, and we became a blues band. I kept the flute playing, but I heard about Ian. I played in the oh, come on, my brain's gone. Roland Kirk style, not as you did. I didn't know of anybody else that was doing it, so I had his records, and I was sort of copying that bluesy interpretation of the flute. And somebody told me, that there's another guy doing it. I'm like, really? Where is he? So that's how I got to hear a Jethro Tull. But they said I was a great guitar player, a bit like Eric Clapton, great sound, flute players, really zany. And it was a big build-up. I eventually went to see them in a club. And of course, there was my dream. Everything I aspired to be and wanted to have in a band were up on that stage. I was just gobsmacked. We played, I saw them again, and then we did a gig together. I met them and they remembered me. And then that led to me joining the band.
Yeah, and so tell me about that dynamic at the beginning. You and Ian and the rest of the guys. Did it flow pretty well? Like, how did you? At what point did you really feel like you jived with the group?
There was a big overlap because Jethro Tull were a blues band, and as you know, this was a blues album. I didn't know at the time when I joined. I had no idea. I just thought I'd be doing the same thing, but not as well, because Mick was a great blues player, and I definitely wasn't. So I was nervous, anxious, but Ian had an agenda in his mind of going away from the blues, writing, as we know. And I think he saw me as part of that, because I wasn't really a blues player, a jazz player, a folk player. I just sort of played my own thing. So we got on really well. We had a sort of very open mind musically. And in the early couple of months after I joined, the audience didn't like us. They listened and they're like, oh, where's the blues? Where's the 12-bar blues? It's gone. And there's this weird music. Instead of, and they didn't like it, so it was a very uncomfortable atmosphere in the band, and of course a lot of it was focused on me because if there's anybody to blame, not the band.
It's a new guy, right? Yeah.
It's him. It's his fault. No. But slowly they swung round, and there was. I even know the first gig was in Manchester with Manfred Mann. It was the first gig where the audience liked it and right on our side and cheering and clapping, and it was a moment of great relief for me and for Ian. I remember after the gig, me and Ian are like, oh wow, thank goodness for that. We were both really relieved for slightly different reasons, and then it all sort of settled in, and as you know, went to America. 50 years of stories.
Yeah. So, you know, I like to talk about, about shows that you did kind of here in the area. I'm in the Bay Area, right? I'm in Napa, California, and so,
Nice.
so there's some legendary venues here, and
Yeah.
you know, and I'm interested kind of some of your experiences playing, you know, some of the venues out here like Fillmore West, and you know, if you have stories from that, that would be, really awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, with the first tour we did of America, we played concerts the weekends. The week we did nothing. So we started in New York. We flew up to Boston, and everywhere we went, it was just like this incredible moment of discovery, because we're these very naive English people discovering America, and it's the American dream that everybody from the UK wanted. So then we went to Chicago, but it was winter, so we had snow in Boston, Chicago, Detroit, freezing weather, but amazing experiences. Playing with, we played with Pentangle. I can't even think of some of the bands we met. MC5 in Seattle, and eventually we went down to San Francisco. We were going to play LA, San Francisco, and we didn't know what to expect. But we got off the plane, and the weather, the smell was just fantastic. I just thought I'd arrived in heaven. Yeah. Of course, we had this whole week to walk around and discover the town. It had such an impact on me that I can remember it as if it was yesterday, and I loved it. I just loved San Francisco and still do. And of course, I've got to know the whole area, the Napa Valley, Russian River. Every time I come to America, I discover something new, and it's better. It's an infinite country of discovery, as you know. And then Fillmore West was just an amazing venue. Bill Graham got us into Fillmore East. He was a big supporter for Tull. He loved the music. He's a really good guy and helped us a lot. But playing Fillmore West was fantastic. The few weird things. I think what one time Ian had a really bad cold, and he took some sort of flu drug or something, and he just went out. He was away with the fairies for like 2 days, so I had to go on stage and explain to this full audience that we couldn't do the show. And
oh no, at the show.
Yeah, I thought they were going to kill me, but they were fine. And then another night, I was playing on stage with the rest of the guys, and I just heard this scuffle behind me, and the two crew had grabbed hold of this naked man with like hair, beard, and a huge knife. And he jumped up on stage. I didn't know it was happening. He jumped up on stage, crazy, with a knife going towards me, and they jumped on him. That was the end of that. It's just, nothing was ever ordinary, and I quite like that. I wouldn't say I like people going at me with a knife, but I just like the fact that I've got all these sort of rich memories of being there, and so I hate to say it, because everybody says, where's your favourite place? Where's the best audience? You go, leave me alone. But San Francisco, that whole West Coast is pretty cool for me.
Yeah. Do you think you might come back here next year? I know I saw it on your site. You have Portland and Seattle, and yeah.
Yeah. It's always on my to-do page. Without a doubt, we'll be back. But the other funny thing that happened was that we finished playing San Francisco, and the manager thought it'd be nice. We had a whole week off before LA, so we'll drive down the coast. I've heard that it's a beautiful coastline, so we rented this big car. We all piled into it, drove down Route 1, and sort of getting a bit dark, so we'd better find somewhere for the night. We saw, it's almost like the Bates Motel, the sign was there, and up we go into these log cabins. This amazing hippie who sort of made us herbal tea, and it was just this beautiful Zen experience, just so chilled out, almost like a movie. And I'm sure he rolled a couple of joints for us, but it was Big Sur. By total coincidence, we stopped in Big Sur to break up the journey. So it could, anywhere else would have meant nothing, but just because it's another amazing place, historically and with music and geography. Big Sur is quite a good place. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, I mean, talking about legendary venues here, let's talk about legendary venue out in your neck of the woods, the Marquee. I mean, you went to so many amazing shows there, right? Saw Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Who. Like, tell me about some of those experiences.
Well, I obviously lived in London before Tull, and that's where everybody went to see good music, hear good music. Marquee, that you didn't need to go anywhere else at all. I think the only other places I ever went was to see Hendrix, because Hendrix played in, the name's going to be gone, somebody out there knows it. He played in a couple of other nightclubs in probably 68, 67, 68. In fact, I met him when he flew into London the very first time. We were the backing band for the Coasters, and they were staying at this hotel in Notting Hill Gate, and we took them home, and in the lobby was this guy, hair, sitting on a Vox AC30 with a Strat, and I go, what? Who is that? I've never seen hair like that.
Yeah.
And one of the kids said, his name's Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, man, he's supposed to be an amazing guitar player. He's come over here, to get a manager and a record deal. I go, okay. And that was the end of it. Of course, it was the history in the making. But going back to the Marquee, we just went there every week, twice a week. And I played there before Tull, and Tull played there. Just everybody. It was like the Cavern, but in a slightly different era.
Yeah, and so, I mean, when you were seeing shows there with these bands that are legendary, like I can almost not kind of conceive of it, right? Seeing a band in a venue like that, right? I mean, were they? I mean, did you see kind of greatness in them at the time, that they were going to come to be this thing that would last as long as they have, and forever, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, well, Jeff Beck, Spooky Tooth, Family, I mean, just everybody, but you could tell which were the great bands, and very few great bands never made it, and very few crap bands made it, especially in rock music. That there was a lot to be learned and a lot of inspiration, and it was just a great atmosphere. But one of the best gigs I've ever seen in my life, which has been, you've sort of knocked my memory. It was at the Whiskey in LA, and it was my birthday. Would this be in the 70s or the 80s? It might have been the late 70s, but it was Tom Scott and the LA Express. and they hadn't played for like 10 years, and they'd come back to LA to do a home gig. I mean, you know, you talk about bands that swing, that rock, you know, hey, you rock. Okay. They epitomized swing, rock feel, that they were unbelievable. But one of the best, and I've seen a lot of amazing gigs. Joe Zawinul, Buddy Rich, Mahavishnu. I mean, I don't know. I've seen a lot of bands, and they're all incredible. But just maybe 2 or 3 concerts were just on another level. Sorry,
Yeah.
distraction, but
yeah, no, that's great. And so, as you're kind of going and playing shows all over the world with Tull, you know, I know, like, I mean, being such a pioneer in music, you guys were like the first rock band to play in some countries. Like, what was that like for you to kind of go to these areas and them have no kind of concept of what you guys were bringing?
yeah, well, it was exciting, and it became a habit, because we the first time we did it, we were nervous because there's no infrastructure in place to look after musicians and music, and no staging, PAs, lights. You know, there were stories of, you know, gear being stolen, not in the country we're going to. That there was a big risk in going, and, you know, trying to be paid as well. But which was the first one we did? We went to South America, one of the first bands in South America. But the audiences were incredible. You know, we'd play to 50,000 a night, mainly because they'd never heard Western rock music, and they didn't care who it was. They just wanted to see it and hear it. So, of course, the second time we went, there was 10,000, and then it leveled off, because we'd go to a country, South America, India, Japan, Australia, so many different places that, you know, the behind the Iron Curtain, Eastern Europe, all of those countries we played when they were communist. But as soon as we went there and it was okay, everybody went. So it changed, you know. Once fans have heard 20 different bands, that it becomes normalized. But it was really exciting just to be a pioneer, and to open up that doorway, and to make it happen and work for everybody else. So it was really good fun.
Yeah. Did you ever have any nerves when you were on stage in front of that many people? Like, or was it pretty natural for you?
Well, it's never natural, and I like to be nervous. I like to have that little butterfly going on down there. But because if I didn't, you can't. I can't imagine just being, you know, nonchalant about playing to 10, 20,000, 5,000, 2,000, 1,000. It doesn't matter, because that they have an expectancy, and I want them to be happy, and I want to deliver why they're there. So I've never ever taken it for granted. I've never been that confident that I just think, you know, it's going to be a piece of cake. I'm going to walk this one. Yeah, there's always an unknown factor, but I like it. I like that nervous edge, and it keeps you on your toes. It keeps your brain, the adrenaline. It's part of the rush of playing music in front of a crowd. And I'm nervous, but it's not with a capital N. You know, it's a different sort of nervousness. In the early days, I was terrified with a capital T. I mean, I was really scared. But you have to deal with it. And I think the worst thing in the early days was, as a guitar player, I hadn't played with anybody famous. And in the first year, Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Clapton, Zappa, you think of the guitar player, and we were sharing concerts with him. I was absolutely petrified, but I had to deal with it. and I certainly had no confidence in standing on the same stage as them, but I had to learn to deal with it or give up, and I wasn't going to give up. So the first year was the hardest year, but it toughened me up.
Yeah, and so when you went on with Tull, I mean, kind of along those lines was, and you would make new albums. Did you ever feel any like pressure, with as a group, to like outdo the previous album or to live up to Aqualung or what have you? Like what was that? I mean, what did that feel like for you?
Yeah, I don't think we ever had those pressures. The record company left us alone. That only once did they try and interfere, and it was a disaster. So that they learned to leave us alone and do what we do, and we never had aspirations of being around 50 years of being, a top band. Whatever happened to us was fine. We wanted to play, we wanted to continue as long as possible, but maybe the easy way of doing it, or the obvious way, is to replicate a formula that works, and we would never do that, and I wouldn't do it now. It's a lesson that's always been ingrained. So we always wanted to go left to centre, never follow the crowd. Just experiment and keep moving, even though a lot of times we'd do a new album and people wouldn't like it. But it was as important as doing an album that people love, because you had to have those curves and dips in a career. I think they help, I think the lows help the highs, vice versa. And our fans are amazing, that if we made an album which was obviously not what they wanted, like Under Wraps, that they hated computerized drums, it was a big mistake, but they went with it. They sort of forgave us, and they went along with it, and then it came back to more normal. So they were very forgiving and very supportive. So they enabled us to experiment.
Yeah, and so looking at Aqualung in particular, like you're planning shows where you're going to play Aqualung in its entirety. So
yes,
I'm sure you've been practicing that album again, and kind of as you're going back and kind of reflecting on it, what does that album mean to you?
Well, I know it. The hilarious thing is that the idea came to me. And then I looked at the tracks. I thought, I know all of these songs. I can actually get a guitar on and play them. But so I haven't gone into it. The only thing I have done is My God's got a flute solo. I'm not going to play a flute solo. I'm not going to do a guitar solo because people are going to go, oh, it should be a flute solo. So I found a bit of music that will replace that flute solo, and it's called Palladio. It's by Carl Jenkins, and I put it on YouTube because I've always wanted to play it, and so I sort of blueprinted the original, and just put loads of guitars on, orchestrated it, and I thought, this is going to work really, really well, and I liked it so much that it's out there on YouTube, but which has blown a surprise. But that was the only little blip, that's an important part of My God is the flute solo. So there needs to be something there that has a bit of a voice.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so I want to ask you, because it seemed kind of funny to me, and I'm sure it was, hilarious to you. I mean, at the time, like you guys winning a Grammy for an album that you didn't even feel like you fit into the category for. You're like, there's no way we're going to win this, right? So you didn't even show up to the Grammys.
Well, the category was a shame, that I think they should have thought that out a bit more, because we're certainly not whatever it was, hard rock. But you know what, the record company didn't fly us over. They said, you don't stand a chance. That nobody believed in us at all. So in my mind, we had the nomination, and there it was, a bit of paper. I thought, wow, that's really amazing. I was so pleased, and that was the end of it for me. I shut the door, and then, you know, the night of the ceremony, I was at home. I'd forgotten about it, and then I got a phone call about midnight saying, yeah, you've won. I go, what? But I'm happy. You know, I never, well, I won't say that. I'd love another Grammy, but it's really special. You know, I'm never going to have an armful of Grammys and have the photo on the red carpet.
Right.
But I've got that one Grammy, and it's in my studio, and I'm really proud of it. And I really think we deserved it, because we're Jethro Tull were a great band. We worked our butts off for 50 years, less when that happened. And you know what? Historically, within music, it was nice to be recognised. I'm not saying we needed to be recognised, but I have no regrets about it at all.
Yeah, for sure. And so there's one other thing I wanted to ask you about, because it seems like there might be an interesting story there, and that is Woodstock, that you guys were supposed to play Woodstock.
Yeah. Well, we were in New York 10 years after, which is our sort of, stable mate band in Chrysalis. We're up there, and we were due to go up and play, and literally they just shut everything down. You know, that there were no flights in. That they closed the festival site down as far as access was concerned, and that's why we didn't do it. I mean, there's other stories I've heard, but that is what happened. We wanted to do it. It sounded incredible. It was didn't have the importance that we know it has now. But yeah, we just didn't. We were too late to go and play. It's a shame. But we played the Isle of Wight festival, which is allegedly 600,000 people, and the lineup on that was equally phenomenal. And now they're making a big thing, you know, that they're going to make a museum on the Isle of Wight to celebrate the 1970 Isle of Wight, because it'll never happen again.
Yeah.
And the lineup was just, but when you look at the lineup, it's incredible. Can't even think what was on it. Everybody.
Yeah, those sort of festivals, I mean, they try and recreate them, but it's not something that can be built, really. I mean, right? I mean, it's just, you can't just throw money into this thing and make what that was, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can't get nobody could afford a lineup anything like that. I'm glad, you know, because it's a historical event, as Woodstock was, and I think, you know, Glastonbury is sort of the festival that everybody talks about, certainly in Europe. I'm underwhelmed by it, because, you know, there's always a few good things, but there's a lot there which is, I'm in my 70s and I'm very opinionated, but I watch it because I like to see what young bands are doing. Pardon me, and I just think, no. I just think the quality of some of the bands to be playing in front of 50,000 people, it doesn't compute. You know, the quality of the bands, they should be playing to 50 people and learning how to play. But suddenly they're at this huge event on the main stage. Good for them, but it's not the same thing. There's a lot of filler. That's a very dangerous thing to say. And as you say, that the logistics of doing a Woodstock or an Isle of Wight, it'll never happen.
Yeah, for sure. So Martin, I want to thank you for taking the time. My understanding is you're able to play a song as well. Do you have?
I can't sing.
Oh, okay, yeah, but like an acoustic guitar, or is that in your studio?
It's in my studio.
And that was awesome. I like it. What song was that?
It's called, I should know it. Oh, this is so funny. I Be Thank You. And it's off the first solo record I ever made called Trick of Memory. And it's about an auctioneer. It's not a very good story, but I had a friend, an auctioneer, and I always thought when he took bids, the first one he said, I be thank you. That's like a real farmer's thing. What he was actually saying is that I am bid. Thank you. I am bid. Thank you for your bid. It's a terrible story, but it always made me smile. So it's I be thank you.
It's a beautiful song. Also, yeah. Well, Martin, I want to thank you for taking the time. I mean, I really enjoyed our conversation. We got to talk like a year or two ago, and I mean, I just love. I mean, you have so many incredible stories, you know, and what an incredible career. I mean, you've had, and you're not slowing down. You know, you still get to do what you love, and I mean, that's why I do this. You know, is to get to, I mean, hear these stories. It's incredible. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've
so,
enjoyed it. It's quite nice. I haven't done a Zoom interview, so it's.
Oh, this is the first one? This is the first one?
Yeah, I mean, I've done Zoom calls, but an interview, it's adds something a bit more personable, which is rather nice.
Oh, totally. I know, because I've done the phone interviews and everything, and those are great. You can have a good conversation, but getting to see, talk to each other face to face, it's the closest thing to, in person, right? You get to
it's nice.
Be there with them.
Even better, because when you've had enough of me, you can turn me off.
Time to go, Martin. No.
Yeah, if you were here, you have to go, I've just got to be going,
Right. Oh, let me check the time. That's the thing right now, though. We don't have a lot of excuse, right? Because time is a lot more.
But yeah, this is. Yeah, it's been nice talking to you.
Well, nice talking to you as well, and hopefully I get to see you when you come out to the Bay Area next. So.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
Well, nobody knows.
We don't know, but we'll be there, and I look forward to it happening. So. You have a great one, okay, Martin?
Yeah, thanks.
That was the interview with Martin Barre, formerly of Jethro Tull here in Concert Pipeline. And really big thank you again to him for taking the time to chat. It was great to hear from him. I also like that he played a little ditty on his guitar for us, a little acoustic number. It's been so amazing to get artists to do that sort of thing, in the comfort of their home.
Yeah, definitely want to give a shout out to Martin, right? And thank you very much for that. I mean, you didn't let poor Martin, you didn't force him to do the interview on your time, right? Like you didn't have to get up at 4 a.m. or whatever.
You're right. Yeah, I made him get up at 2 a.m., in the middle of the night, because it was better for me. No, right. No, I made the sacrifice. I did the interview at 6:30 in the morning, my time. So it was a good 2:30 his time in the afternoon, right?
Nice. All right. So he's awake enough to actually do some talking and some performing.
Yeah. No, it worked out really well.
Cool. Awesome. Cool, Martin.
Yeah, and so that takes us to the final segment on the program. What is it?
Well, it is time for some music news. Steve, we got a couple of articles, a couple of news topics to talk about, and in traditional fashion, let's have you begin, and then I will follow your lead.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right. So this is probably going to be the last episode that we do before the election. So we'll just put that out there that whatever has happened.
Yeah. You're talking about that. Have you seen the sequel to Borat?
I did see it yesterday. Yes.
Hell, we saw that yesterday or the day before or something. I don't remember. Dude, it was freaking hilarious, but in an extremely cringe-worthy way. You know, like
I know,
like
it
a
was so
cringe
painful.
face for the whole time. It was so painful to watch, but so worth it to watch the whole damn thing.
Oh, it was brilliant. Yeah.
I tell you, the
timing.
balls on that guy. The balls on that guy.
I know. He is a master of his craft, right? So
Definitely. Anyway, so yeah, you said election. I thought, oh my God, Borat, gotta watch that before the election.
Well, from one nut job to another, right? So
Right.
you remember our boy Kanye West is running in the presidential election, and I'll tell you,
You sent me the little photo of the ballot, right? And I'm
yeah,
like,
I
oh
mean,
man, he's vice president or going
he's
for vice president.
it's so weird. I don't even understand how it's possible, but some states he's running for president, and others he's running for, like California, he's running for vice president. And he was on Joe Rogan podcast this week, and and I just listened to the first 5 minutes this morning.
Interesting.
And yeah, and Joe was asking him about what he wants to bring to the table, what's what he wants to change, and he just said, hey, well, I'm a visionary, and that he's gonna, he wants to be leader of the free world, and back in 2015, God told him, to run for president in 2020.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that happened, and
interesting.
I mean, there's a video that Kanye fans have appeared in, a campaign video to explain why they're voting for the rapper to become the next president of the United States. So he recently revealed to have spent $3 million of his own money on his White House run last month, despite raising just $2,782.
I thought you were going to say $27.
Oh, pretty close.
At least it was more than that.
Bernie, yeah. He's still continuing his bid in opposition of Trump and Biden, but it's really, people are saying it's to offset, take some of Biden's voters, right? That's what they're saying. But someone said, we're voting for Kanye West this year because America needs a leader who will actually listen to the kids. Okay. I mean,
he's listening to voices in his head.
I know. Yeah,
that's the only thing he's listening to. He needs to take his medication and stop the bullshit is what he needs to do.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Yeah, it's he's currently polling at 2% ahead of U.S. Election on November 3rd. But I think there is a swing state that he's on the ballot in that might shake things up a little bit, right? So
whatever.
Yeah.
I think there are just certain people on the planet that should be among the first group of people that get launched off of the planet and sent to Mars, just as test subjects to see if humans can survive the trip there and back.
Well, his buddy Elon Musk, I'm sure, will make it happen. So
exactly right. Have them go down in history as having done something, fantastic for mankind.
Yeah.
Being president or vice president, isn't that?
Yeah.
That was your story?
I thought you were
just talking. I thought you were just talking about him. Oh,
no, that was the story. Is that he's? I wanted to share it because he only raised $2,700 and put in $3 million. So I thought that was worth sharing.
Freaking hilarious! I kept on waiting for you to start the story. Okay,
I talked
like,
a bit. News, dude.
Yeah,
it was brief. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, so Smashing Pumpkins. Let's talk about them. So they're planning a world arena tour for Melancholy. So this is the story. So the Smashing Pumpkins have announced that they will celebrate the 25th anniversary of Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness with a world arena tour next year. Yay! Okay. Well, don't know quite what that means. Maybe does that mean like real people?
I mean, they're hoping so. They're hoping.
Right. Okay, so the band is hoping too. So the band had hoped to launch the special tour timed with the 25th anniversary on October 23rd, but the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown did not make it possible. So they plan to launch the trek in 2022. 2021, and we'll share the dates and venues soon. You know what? That's something that I actually might go to if they, show up here somewhere.
Yeah,
Not too
I
far
mean,
away.
I could go to just about any show, right now, right?
Right? Yeah, no shit.
But that would be a fun
they've
show.
They've also announced that they will be releasing a new concept. That album that will complete the trilogy that began with Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness and continued with Machina. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. They are eyeing a late 2012 release date for that new record. And I love how this article, says record in it.
Yes, it's a record.
Do the kids today
do the kids use that term? No, the kids don't use that term.
Right? No way.
Yeah.
So somebody whoever wrote this is either really trendy, and oh my God, I'm going to use the word record because it's so old school, or it's someone from that generation that bought a bunch of vinyl back when all you had was vinyl back then. I don't know.
It's pretty hip, I tell you. So.
It's pretty hip. I think it's pretty freaking fantastic. I love that.
Yeah. Well, Jens, my next story is about Gwen Stefani.
Oh, what is Gwen up to?
Well, she was on a Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and so she's turned No Doubt's Don't Speak and Spiderwebs into country songs for a sketch on US TV. They're saying she's, gone country. It's a skit called Gwen Stefani's Gone Country, I guess. And she put on Dolly Parton-esque spin on Tragic Kingdom singles. And I think she changed, she changed Holla Back Girl. She gave that a little country feel as well. And I think we just need to take a little listen into what Gwen Stefani's songs Gone Country sound like.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, do it. It's like Dolly Parton singing Gwen Stefani.
It feels like it, right?
No doubt, or whatever. Oh, dude, turn it off. No. Oh, my God. Turn that shit off.
Yeah, okay.
God, no. Oh, I'm sorry. I need something to wipe the blood that's coming out of my ears, dude. That was horrible. There's some country that I actually enjoy listening to. That's not it.
Nope. Not funny. Not funny, Gwen. Don't ruin the good old No Doubt songs.
Right, exactly. If you want to do that at some, event that you go to, great, play it live. It'll be like this really cool one-off thing that people can tweet about or whatever. But dude, don't come out with an album or put that shit on YouTube.
No, don't do it. Just don't do it. No. Yeah. Yeah, and you have one more story for us.
Yes. I have a story about why Paul McCartney looks like my stepmother.
Oh, okay. Yes. Why is that, Jens?
Yeah, I don't know. But before I even get into this story, I'm zooming in on Paul McCartney, who is, how old is Sir McCartney now?
Is he he's got to be over 70, right?
Yeah. Shoot. I don't know. He's older. Anyway,
He's 78. He's 78.
He's 78. Yeah. Okay. He's 78, and he's English, right? Like British English.
Yes.
But my stepmother, she's 81, and she's Swedish, and I don't know whether my stepmother looks like Paul McCartney or Paul McCartney looks like my stepmother.
Doppelganger. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen these photos where two people that look similar are blended together?
I don't know if I've seen that.
You never seen that online? And then you're asked who is this person? And you can't tell if it's Paul McCartney or if it's Jens' stepmother, because it's totally both.
It could be both, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. But so I'm just wondering if Paul McCartney might be Swedish.
It's
maybe
very
that's
possible.
Like a big secret. I don't know.
Or your stepmother is English.
Yeah, that could be. Maybe she's lied to us all these years. She does speak Swedish, and she does have a Swedish accent.
Okay.
Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let me focus. So Paul announced his new solo album called McCartney 3 or Third. It's in Roman numerals, 1, 2, 3. So I'm just gonna go with third. McCartney third.
Yeah, it's probably McCartney 3. We'll go with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Keeping it classy.
So ending a 40-year wait to complete the McCartney solo album trilogy. Sir Paul McCartney has announced his brand new solo album, McCartney. Maybe it's Spanish, like tres.
Yes, that's probably what it is.
French.
Or trois.
Trois.
Yeah, it's McCartney trois. Yes.
Yeah, it's probably not German.
No,
Anyway.
no, it couldn't be German.
Yeah. So the announcement of the record was teased earlier this week with a number of visual cues, and now has been confirmed that the Beatle is set to end the 40-year wait by finally rounding off his McCartney solo album trilogy thing. Yay! Okay. Beginning with his debut solo record, McCartney in April 1970. Oh my God.
Wow.
How many negative years were you back then?
More than you want to know. Yeah.
I was
7.
like April, May, like -3 months.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So, which saw its creator playing every instrument and writing and recording each song. McCartney followed that up 10 years later by releasing McCartney the 2. Okay. In May 1980. How many negative years were you in 1980?
3. Final answer.
Yeah. All right. We're getting closer. All right. All right. So, okay. So that was 10 years. Okay. And then, I don't know, 40 years later, does, finishes it up. So he's coming full circle. That's good. Getting stuff off the bucket list.
Yeah. Hey, so there won't be a 4 or there will? I'm confused.
I don't know. A trilogy, I'm thinking it's just going to be 3.
You say that, but then, Star Wars, and we can go down that road.
Maybe he's going to do some prequels, right?
Maybe.
He's going to go back to 1940 or whatever.
And then they get renamed, like identified.
All this shit sounds like Elvis. All right.
No. Sounds
the
like
most recent being, I think so. What am I talking about? Okay, so while a number of solo McCartney albums followed that LP, the most recent being September 2018's Egypt Station, McCartney has only now completed work on the final part of the trilogy of the McCartney albums. Okay, so initially he hadn't planned to release an album in 2020, but this freaking isolation.
Why not? Who knows how long we got?
Why not? Right? Why not just get it done? The time is there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so blah 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 blah. It goes on and on and on. And so, do we have a release date? Did I mention that? No, right?
It's coming. You said 2020, so it can't be that long.
Can't be too long, right? So he says, I was living lockdown life on my farm with my family, and I would go to my studio every day. I had to do a little bit of work on some film music that turned into one opening track. And then when it was done, I thought, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? Oh, I don't know. Oh, I think I'll have a beer with my friend Ringo.
Paul.
I had Paul. Talk to my friend Paul. Okay, I had some stuff I had worked on over the years, but sometimes I would run out. Sometimes, time would run, and would be half finished, and so I started thinking about what I had, and that wasn't a whole lot, except I'm getting older, and I need to finish this trilogy because the whole world is so interested in it.
Yes. All right.
Yeah. So
I think he's making an album.
You can pre-order it. You can pre-order it. That's the part I'm trying to get to here. You can pre-order it. So do an internet search. How do I pre-order McCartney Trois?
There you go, and you'll find it out. Jens, I have one more story, and you know who it involves.
Dave Grohl, hit me up, baby.
Right. So the Foo Fighters, Jens, performed an acoustic set for Save Our Stage's benefit at the Troubadour, and that was on during their appearance at the 3-day festival. After previewing their appearance with footage of their 1999 classic "Learn to Fly" on Jimmy Kimmel Live, they opened their half-hour set with "Skin and Bones" from 2005. They played "My Hero," "These Days," "Times Like These," when Dave Grohl closed out the performance with the solo take on, you guessed it, "Everlong."
Nice.
Yeah. So they all reminisce about their first visits to the famed Los Angeles venue, and the importance of the local music scene. They're really trying to drum up money to save independent venues. You know, we've talked about that, and
I like how you used the words "drummed up" for Dave Grohl. Drummed up.
Of course.
Was that intentional, or was that?
You'll never know, Jens.
I'll never know. It's going to be a hidden. You're going to take that to your grave.
Yep, I will.
After you have your first colonoscopy.
Yeah, we're going to save that for a little bit, okay? So, good time. All right, Jens, that's our show. So, yeah, good times to be had. I don't have an interview lined up right now, so can't tell you. It might be a couple weeks before the next episode, but thank you again to Martin Barre for appearing on the program, and Jens, for all of us here at Concert Pipeline. That's Jens Schippel.
And that is Steve Jones.
We will catch you next time.
Later.